Welcome to Freed on Business. He grew up in South Florida, has been in business here since the early 90s, and has closed over $3 billion in deals. He's seen it all. He always has an opinion, and he's always ready to share it. Informed, entertaining, and connected, he has his finger on the pulse of South Florida's business community. He's Jim Freed, and this is Freed on Business.
Hey everybody, we're here. We're getting close to Halloween. My good friend Brian Gale, he's the man. He puts up this whole big Halloween thing. I can't wait to go to your house and see. What are you going to be this year, Brian?
Well, I like to be a clown every year because the way I look at it is the more kids you can scare, it's like burping at the chef. So the more kids you can scare, the better it is. So I typically am a clown. This year I'm going to be the Joker.
Oh, that sounds great. I can't wait to come up and see you. Thank you for inviting me and Vivian up to go see your event. Where is it located?
Well, I mean, I don't want the whole world to know, but we're up in North Miami. And last year,
I'll do a video and post it, scaring the you-know-what out of me. We're also, so Brian's on. Brian does a big representation landlord rep, right?
Yes, sir.
Down on Brickell, so he gets the calls from all the big fancy people that are coming to Miami. We're gonna find out if that's tricking or treating. We're gonna have Ken Morris on. Ken specializes in suburban Broward County and is a tremendous investment broker as well as leasing broker. He has his pulse on what's going on out in the suburbs. And then, of course, Charles Foschini. Did I get it right? I try.
Good enough.
Close. Hand grenade, right? Charles is going to talk to us about what the capital markets are saying about the office environment, because everybody wants to build apartments on Brickell. When you build apartments on Brickell and take away the office sites, that makes the office guys have better and more valuable buildings. We'll talk about that as well. Reagan Mendoza will be tipping us off. He's going to sell us some cars. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the experts. I surround myself with the experts and then I listen to what they have to say. I hope you'll all stick with us and join us. Mr. Mendoza, roll. Everybody, by now you know we're South Florida's longest running business talk show. We've been on since 2008. Warren Henry's been the sponsor since 2013. I want to thank Larry, Warren, Samantha, Eric, all the folks over at Warren Henry that make it special. More of my friends. When you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why you have to check out Warren Henry, Land Rover, Range Rover, and Land Rover, Range Rover, and Jaguar. I blanked. Up at 151st and Biscayne. Down in the Keys, they've got a store that sells them all down in Key West. Up in Gainesville, they sell Audis. That's where Brian Gale and I go. What do they have in common? They're all great cars. They come with the Warren Henry advantage. It's a whole great list of things you get. They replace your key if you lose it. That's $100 right there. They polish up your car wheels if you hit the curb. I know I do that. I'm sure you do too. And they'll make sure that if you don't like your car, you get to return it. Everybody returns their cars. They love them. So join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian, lots and lots of my friends. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service. You got it. Always Warren Henry. Playing that one just for our guests today. They're all tremendous friends. I care very deeply about all of them. I also really have been skinning down my client list, and I really only focus on people that are just tremendous, wonderful people. And then I introduce them to my tremendous, wonderful capital sources, and we do tremendous, wonderful deals. It's really great. The code name for my latest stuff is Brisket. You'll have to watch me on social media to figure out what that means. But remember, pref equity, construction loans, stretch construction loans, joint venture equity, helping you build your real estate operating company. I do all of that. Call me, because when you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
Well, we're back here on Freed on Business. The topic this week is the office market in South Florida. Fact or fiction, and since it's getting close to Halloween, I'll say trick or treat. I want to start out with Brian Gale. Brian represents the best high-profile building in the marketplace. He's the guy that's recruiting and signing all those name brand tenants that you're hearing about. Brian, tell me a little bit about what's going on in your signature situation, and also what's going on in some of the back office that you also represent.
Go to the bathroom real quick. I'll come right back and answer that. Or
well, because you're usually sure.
Just kidding.
Sure.
Thank you for the thanks for the intro, Jimmy. Yeah, listen, we are in the most epic market I have ever seen. I just finished year 27 of doing office leasing here in Miami-Dade County. We've never seen anything like this. The building, I think that Jim was referring to, is 830 Brickell, which is the newest building under construction right now, which is a joint venture between Kane International and the OCO Group. In the last few months, we were fortunate enough to sign Tomo Bravo, one of the largest private equity firms in the world, certainly one of the most respected too. CI Financial opened up their U.S. headquarters. A lot of the deals that you're seeing come to Miami are not U.S. headquarter deals. They're the guy in New York who has 400,000 square feet opens up 40,000 square feet in Miami, keeps the New York location. CI Financial, based in Toronto, this is actually their U.S. headquarters. Had this been 3 or 4 years ago, they would have probably opened up in New York. But, guess what? Miami's the hot spot now. Always been hot, but now really the hot market. And they chose, you have a question? No.
Yeah. So, my historic experience in capitalizing office buildings is it's always been tough to bring them out of the ground because everybody wanted 50, 60% pre-leasing. And in a market like Miami, that had to be an expansion. So you had to go rob the tenants from the last cycle's premier buildings and put them into this one. Sounds like that's not the model anymore.
No, it's not the model. As a matter of fact, it's all new to market. Every single tenant we've signed, we're 40% pre-leased on a 650,000 square foot building. Okay. Every single tenant that we have signed is new to market. Okay, including Microsoft, which I know you all read about. Yeah, and they're going to be expanding and taking that. When all said and done, they'll probably end up being about 75,000 square feet. We have another about 250,000 square feet of active negotiations, LOIs. We are approaching, I think this is sort of the most exciting part of the assignment. It's great, to lease the building but when we originally pro formed this building 4 years ago, we were looking at $70 rents. We're getting up close to $100 a foot. We have a deal that we have a signed LOI right now at 95. We have another one that we're trying to sign at $100 a foot, the first 3-digit rental rate in the history of Miami. Yes, Jimmy.
So does this include amortization of office space, or is this net rental income to the bottom line?
So, all right, we talk in Miami, we talk gross rents, right? So it's the base rent plus the operating expenses. So whenever we quote a rent, it's the gross rent, including operating expenses, but it's also the year one rent. So when you're bumping rents that start in the mid 90s at 3% a year, when you get to year 10 or 11, you're about $110 a foot. I mean, those are New York and San Francisco type rents.
Wow. Now we're talking about, let's bring in Ken Morris. Ken is my personal premier guy out in the Broward County suburban market. That's a completely different animal. Ken, are you seeing national firms looking to relocate to the suburbs? Are you seeing relocations? Are you still seeing post-COVID aftershock?
Well, I'd say, number one, thanks for having me on the show again. It's
a pleasure
to see you and Charles and Brian. You guys are the Titans, and you're the best. So it's an honor to be with everybody today. I'd say it's a little bit of all three. Crown Castle just did a recent lease in Plantation for about 30,000 square feet. But there's weakness in the Class A bandwidth in Plantation and also in the Sawgrass submarkets. Weston doesn't really have a whole lot. Miramar does have a fair amount of space. There's also a fair amount of sublet space still in the market, still hasn't sort of moved through the system and been taken down yet. Brian's market in Brickell and downtown are pretty much the hottest markets for office in South Florida. I think it's one of those questions of haves and have-nots. If the building is up to par for what the out-of-state occupier is looking for as far as amenities and power and parking and so forth, it's going to get a second look. But there's a lot of what I would call A- product in the market that, for us, we call it A, but it's really not. To the out-of-staters, it's really a B product, and it doesn't really meet their needs. On the other side of the coin, the entrepreneurial set of tenants are generally shrinking their footprint, in my experience. I'm seeing a fair amount of larger law firms and accounting firms that are entrepreneurially owned that are reducing their footprint because many of their people are hybrid working now, working from home or working from anywhere. And I think there's a bit of a tug of war that's going on right now related to how many people are really going to work from home and how many people are really going to come back to the office. And I don't think that decision is fully made yet. For tech companies like Microsoft and your other big name tech firms, they're gung-ho and they've got the resources to expand tremendously. But many of the companies that I work with are saying, you know what, we can take a third less space and still be just as efficient and save money to boot.
Well, yeah, Charles, I wanted to bring you in. You're up.
I just find this fascinating to listen. I began my career, I think, 7 years ahead of Brian. And we both learned the craft from Mike Klotz and myself, Arnold Madison. And when Mike retired, we spoke and he looked at me and he said, Miami's changed more in the last 3 years than the first 35 of my career. And this was, a half a cycle ago, well before the pandemic. And from the time I started as his runner to the time Brian started as his runner to 2019, if you built the building, you stole from Peter to pay Paul and created the vacancy that you mentioned at the beginning. And if you were doing a deal and the markets Ken just went over, they were by and large heavy pre-leases or flat out built-to-suits. And that's the way, Stiles and Codina and a number of others came into those markets successfully and anchored a campus by building a building. Today, that's the complete opposite. And, Brian and I are working on a couple of development deals together that we really can't talk about by name, but I can tell you they're coming with giant pre-leases and they're coming with giant developers. And when those developers come down here and look at our office stock, 777 Brickell, the defining building in the Brickell skyline, Southeast Financial Center, those buildings are coming up on their 40-year certifications. And so, what we would define, Ken, as A, I would say other folks look at and say that's a C-, try harder, right? And so these private equity groups that discovered in the pandemic they didn't have to be in Manhattan, they can work from anywhere. You saw the first wave of executives come in and buy super homes, or they were already here and you just didn't know it. But the second wave is bringing real live employment and committing to pre-leases. And when you commit to a pre-lease, that's generally at least a 10-year term. And it's generally with a 13-year vision because it does take time to build these buildings. And it's exciting. It's exciting for us as deal doers. It's exciting for the market and the economy. It's exciting for Brian's kids and my kids that are in college and looking, at least I want mine to come home. I don't want them to live with me, but I want them to come home. And they have real employment opportunities that they didn't in 2019. In 2019, I funded the Gateway of Wynwood. I can say it now because it's closed and topped off. There was one lender for that project, and it was a speculative building, and it really had a cloud of mystery, like why would you build in Wynwood? Well, that building has some significant leases now. Their brokers have at least 4 times over, and not everyone's going to commit, but if some of them do, it'll be fully leased by the time it's CO'd. And that market didn't exist in 2019. And it's now the future of South Florida office space because it's migrated out of downtown and Brickell and into Wynwood and the Grove in many ways.
Yes, it's chasing me wherever I want to live. It's after me, but I don't mind because I do the residential deals around them. We're going to take a quick break, then we're going to come back and we're going to get everybody's take on what the future is going to look like here for the office market for their kids. And before I go, I want to say, wow, that was just pure gold that the two of you guys work for Mike Klotz. What a gentleman. We'll be right back after this, and a high five to Mike Klotz for helping my friends get their start. Everybody, this is where I remind everybody we're South Florida's longest running business talk show. We've been on since 2008. Our sponsors since 2013 have been our good friends at Warren Henry. Warren Henry is extremely active in the community. We're going to be going out and doing a special event with them where Warren will award the top high school football player in Southeast Florida a nice award, and we're going to make sure we interview them and project all that goodness and help them learn how to project themselves onto TV. Remember, when you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can, and you want to be with the great energy of Warren Henry. Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, and Jaguar up at 151st and Biscayne. I don't think I can say their new store anymore because it's new, but it's been there for about a year now. So that one up there in Gainesville, that's where Brian and I go to get our Audis. Down in the Keys, Charles travels down to Key West. That's where you can get everything from these guys. I'm probably going to go down there and get myself my fancy Jeep for the next round. What do all these cars have in common? Well, they're all great cars, and they come with the Warren Henry Advantage. It's a long list of services. Since I moved, I lost the list. I'll have to go find it. But I can tell you that the bottom line is that if you don't like your car after 3 days, you can return it. Nobody returns it. They give you the best price guarantee, all these other great things. So when you're looking for that car, join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian, and all kinds of our friends. They're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry.
This is Becca Carlson from Carlson Integrated. You know, a lot of our clients find that they can do anything, but not really everything. We are always excited to jump in and help. So whether you need another set of hands for a project or even comprehensive marketing management, our team of marketing mavens would love to have a conversation with you to see if we are the right fit. We do everything from logo and design work to email outreach and social media to writing and thought leadership. And here's a fun one. We are now offering our fabulous ebook of top 10 marketing tips on our website for free. So head over to carlsonintegrated.com and grab a copy today. And please always let us know how we can help. My email is Becca, that's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com. That's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com.
And just to freak everybody out, next week, Beck and I are going to do a special on gift giving for the holidays. It's going to be tremendous. She sent me some stuff from the people that we're going to profile. My gosh, you know, I'm pre-diabetic. I'm not supposed to eat that stuff. It was so good. Hey, give me a call or reach out to me, DM me. I can't give out my contact info anymore because I can't. The security guys won't let me do it anymore. But reach out to me if you know me or find me on LinkedIn or whatever, because I'm helping my friends. I'm doing all kinds of great things. Some guys I'm doing jumbo mortgages for their house. Other people I'm raising 80, 90, $100 million for their apartment deal, or 150 or 250. All kinds of deals, all kinds of capital. One thing it all has in common, it's all with great people. I create friendships and business relationships that last a lifetime. Oh my God, I've never said that before. That's tremendous. So reach out to me. Let me help you. Remember, my personal brand is that I self-actualize by helping other people achieve their dreams and goals. Let me help you. Remember, I was going to say something else. Call me. When you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
I've got my focus back, my game face on, and I've got some really good guys on the show today. Great guests. Ken Morris. Ken has been making a living up in Western Broward in the office space market for quite some time. He's the man, the myth, and the legend up there. Brian Gale, well, that's him on Brickell. Brian swings the biggest bat in South Florida, and he hits it out of the park almost every time. He got trained by the same guy that trained Charles I almost did it. Foschini.
There you go.
High five to me. Never get that right. Always keep trying. But Charles is one of the most sophisticated lenders in the marketplace. He and Brian are working on some great deals that they're not going to tell us about. They'll only talk around the edges on, but maybe we can pull them out. I'm going to start this time by talking about my personal experience in one of the submarkets that they mentioned is really hot, Coconut Grove. I just moved to Coconut Grove, and I'm going to do a sublease deal in Coconut Grove with one of the tenants to go into their office space. It just so happens to be the exact same office space they occupied in the 80s and 90s with my former partners. I can't wait. I'm going to walk to the office. It's across from Fresh Market. What is that? That's a dynamic that didn't exist just a few years ago in our market. And it certainly didn't exist in the suburbs, and it certainly didn't exist in downtown. I want to first talk to Ken. Ken, how about the office buildings that are located by the shopping centers and close to housing? Stronger than the people that are out by the expressway? Question mark.
Yeah. Look, I think access to roadways is still an issue. Unfortunately, in South Florida, our public transportation is not like it is in other parts of the country. So we're all stuck using our cars. And I think the state of Florida had 380,000 people move into it last year alone. Now, not all of them came to South Florida, but a lot of them did. So I'm sure everybody, on this program today can tell you what it's like to drive, getting from A to B. Even in Doral, which I'm in quite often now, it takes you about 30 minutes to go, 3/4 of a mile at certain times of the day. Overall, the suburban market is still doing okay. Office space hasn't died by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that there's still a lot of money looking to deploy into office product, just like it is in industrial and multifamily. You would think that less money would be going into office, but still a tremendous amount is flowing into it. But I think less on the entrepreneurial reasons behind office space and more from the big picture that we're in this really strange negative yield environment for government treasuries, and this relentless chase for yield that everybody is searching for product to buy is keeping the office investment market buoyed, pretty well. Charles can speak much better to that than I can, but I think that, the trajectory of the market moving forward is still going to be a positive one because we're a unique area. If you go too far to the west, your feet get wet. You go too far to the east, your feet get wet. It's not like we're a Dallas Fort Worth where there's endless, planes that can be expanded on endlessly. We're really at that point where it's all urban infill for the most part. We've run out of large tracts of land to develop. So I think from that perspective, office, even suburban office, is going to be okay because there's really no more land to build large tract, home developments like a West End or Pines and Miramar and those communities. So the value of the residential product, in theory, a single family is going to continue to rise. There's nowhere to build that again and duplicate it. And given the fact that our state has no income tax, we're still going to get just a tremendous amount of interest and corporate relocations into this marketplace, even into the suburbs.
Charles, he was talking about capital and its desire to deploy in office. That's over the middle of the plate for you. Please hit it out of the park.
Look, I would suggest that sometimes you make your own luck by being in the right spot at the right time. And South Florida generally, or specifically in Florida and the Southeast more generally, have absolutely been a recipient to that. The pandemic really highlighted a lot of our advantages. If you're looking at Southwest Broward or Boca Raton, You can get out of your home. You can drive a few miles, be in a place where you pull into covered parking, don't touch any buttons, and walk up a flight of stairs, and you're in a beautiful office space. You can't do that in a lot of the other urban areas of this country. And then by comparison, if you looked at Manhattan and then weighed that against Brickell Avenue or Broward Boulevard and Las Olas, we've got one or two streets and we run out of high-end, tall commercial real estate. In most of the other major cities in the U.S., you have blocks and blocks and miles of that density. So on a relative scale, we're much younger, much less dense, and at least the perception is a better place to be during this pandemic time. And then when you layer over that the taxes and some of our government approaches to the world, it's been really underscored as a highly friendly, conducive, available right now place to do business. And that tweet heard around the world, "How can I help?" It's been answered in a lot of ways, and it really is an exciting time to be a part of the city. As miserable as it is to drive around it, you can't get up early enough, and I get up very early to outpace that traffic. It's almost a 24-hour situation.
Yeah, I sit in the main arterial coming out of Coconut Grove into downtown. I'll tell you the rhythm of the city. 5:30, they're delivering the food at Starbucks. 6 o'clock, the first person's walking into Starbucks. 6:30, they're already slowing down the process into downtown. By 7, it's almost gridlock. It'll stay that way till 9 o'clock in the morning minimum. Brian, so how about you? What's the capital city? You know what? I don't want to ask what's the capital city. I want to ask you a different question. You rep the big buildings. What's going on in the other buildings there? People looking for them too?
Yeah, I mean, it's the trophy assets that are getting the look. I think Ken mentioned it before, where we think it was an A building or a B plus building, the guy from New York comes down and goes, yeah, C plus, right? So it's the trophy buildings that are really the ones right now that are reaping the benefits of the new to market. We also handle 701 Brickell. In the last 4 or 5 months, we've signed Steve Cohen's .72, more capital. We're close. That hopefully today we sign a huge household name tenant, one of the great tenants in our country, relocating to South Florida and looking to open up an office at 701. I can't announce it yet just because I'm superstitious, but I promise you, Jimmy, on the next show or maybe in a week, you'll hopefully read about it in the articles. I do want to touch on Coconut Grove for a quick second. One of the great little submarkets we have in Miami-Dade County. I mean, we leased Related built 2850 Tiger Tail, 120,000 square foot building. We leased the entire building during COVID. Okay. It was a spec office building, beautiful little building. And I got to tell you, if we waited 6 months, we leased it in really sort of the midpoint of 2020 towards the end of 2020. If we had just waited 6 months more, we could have gotten another $10 a foot more in rent. Okay, where we were in the low 70s, we could have been in the low 80s easily. We still get calls from people. We love space in Coconut Grove. What do you have in Coconut Grove? We haven't had space in 6 months in Coconut Grove. You can walk to work like you do, Jimmy. Watch George Perez walking down the street to 20.
He almost ran me over 2 weeks ago on his bike on a Sunday, but I didn't pester him. I should have.
It's one of the great live work play cities that we have in our. By the way, Wynwood. I know Charles touched on Wynwood. Oh my God! If you would have asked me a year ago about Wynwood, I would have said, couple prospects, 1 or 2. Now, oh my God, it's insane.
Different place.
You can't. How does a submarket anywhere in the United States go from 0 to 100 in 6 months? Never seen anything like it.
They call me.
It's not like Brickell was ever 0. Wynwood was 0. Brickell was always a good market. Now it's
Wynwood was never really 0. Wynwood wasn't really 0. I was bringing in some office tenants and we're going to steal tenant there and spec.
You should have been on my leasing calls with CIM if you think there were a bunch of tenants, because all we were trying to figure out is how do we send donuts to brokers to get them interested in our building. I mean, there wasn't anyone to talk to. Now there's a plethora of tenants. There's probably because the environment evolved.
And think about what would happen if they would open up the exit on 29th with retirement.
They will. That exit,
that's happening.
That's going to happen. And also the Brightline stop, which will stop in Wynwood It's going to stop in Design District. It's going to stop in North Miami, Aventura. Okay, the whole way. By the way, Design District, has there, as much as Wynwood's changed since the COVID, how about Design District?
All right, time out. I got to go to a break, and then we're going to cross the 95.
Like your stupid breaks.
You got a lot of breaks today, Jim.
Yeah, these
we always have 4 breaks, guys.
Just get going. And now you're going to sell a damn car while I'm trying to tell people about the office market. This is ridiculous.
Or they can't. Okay, stop that. I know you drive a car. Mr. Mendoza, let's roll. All right, we're back. He's been playing music while we've been gone. This is where I talk about we're South Florida's longest running business talk show. We're on with my friends who are really tremendous. They know a lot, and I'm sharing it with you. It's why, they're just great guys, great people. Also great people are my friend at Warren Henry. They just broke my chops about that. I got to sell cars. I sell a lot of cars, but they've been my sponsor since 2013. Why? Because I love them. They make us feel so wonderful when we buy our car, but even more so afterwards. My mom had to go last week for like some service thing, and May Stark, our service person, took such good care of her. And believe me, my mom's no easy case. So if you're looking to buy a car, call Warren Henry, Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, and Jaguar up in 151st and Biscayne. I'm losing it again, guys. Up in Gainesville, they sell Audis. Down in the Keys, they sell them all. It's because I'm having so much fun with you guys. What do they all have in common? They're all great cars. They come with a Warren Henry advantage and some really tremendous energy. I love Larry, Warren, Eric. They're all just tremendous people. I mentioned May. Our marketing contact is Samantha Jacobson. The great things they do in the community is endless. They're just great people. They give you the Warren Henry advantage, a long list of services, but the main one is that they'll let you give your car back if you don't like it after 3 days. No one ever turns back their car. Join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian, lots and lots of my friends. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best service, always the best price, always Warren Henry.
Namaste.
That's right. And I surround myself with the kindest people. You could see right here on the Zoom call. They're just amazing people. Every one of them, I talk to them on a regular basis, and they give me feedback that helps me feel good and move forward. And they give me great information. I care about each one of you guys. Thank you so much. Reach out to me. I can help you access all kinds of different people and put you together with all kinds of interesting people. It turns out most of the time I'm introducing people that already know each other. I'm just doing it in different ways. They go, wow, how creative. It's a Rubik's Cube. Call me if I can help you or your family. I'm working with lots of families right now. I've got 2 or 3 different family offices and I'm helping capitalize your deal. I just did another memory care deal for my favorite family based up in Tampa. Memory care. That's right. Construction. Oh yeah, I'm the man. Call me if I can help you. Why? Because if you call me, it's always going to be all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
All right, we're going to start this segment with Mike Klotz's protege, Charles Foschini. Keep trying to get it right. Someday I will. Charles, you go to all these events. You talk to all the smart guys and ladies that run Capital. And here we are, all 3 of us, I guess 4 of us, sitting in our house. Ken, you may be in an office. But 3 of us, we're in the house. What does Capital say about people getting out of the house? When do they think we're going to actually go back and use our offices?
The jury's definitely out on that. But what we all discovered during the pandemic is that if you have a mature business like Brian and I have, and you have, and Ken has, the clients are going to rely on us and they're going to call on us. And that was probably the most gratifying thing to come out of the pandemic. But if you're new in the business and you're trying to develop yourself in the business, it's a people business. And I would tell you that, the younger people in our office maybe didn't go to the office, but they still got together. And there's a yearning for that. And, I don't think office is dead at all. I believe the way that we use office will evolve and be different. And, corporate America is exactly that. You can't build a culture and maintain a company and grow a company if everybody is under a rock somewhere else, and you don't have a chance to get together, and you don't have a chance to know the boss that's going to promote you or fire you or bring you with him in his next venture. Those things still require a high level of touch. I believe that the business has gotten more efficient. If I couldn't do this a year ago because Zoom didn't exist there, or 2 years ago at the level that it existed, and it existed, but it wasn't accepted, right? And if you look at residential real estate and how that's marketed versus commercial real estate and how that's traditional marketed, we were way behind the 8 ball on technology. We were very, as an industry, resistant to embrace that technology. Well, guess what? The pandemic just unleashed that technology, and we had to accept it. And now it's commonplace. And it's better for us as a humanity, and it's better for us culturally. But it's not going to usurp the need for people to get together, to work together, and to harvest opportunity together. It is a little depressing if I go into the office and nobody else is there, or if you're on an odd and even, or you go to all the restaurants that we would run into each other and you don't run into anybody. But that's starting to change and evolve. And my expectation is by January, if the Delta variant keeps reducing and vaccinations keep going up, that we're going to be back in the office in a very usual way. And that new normal may not have us in the office as much, but it's going to have us in the office, and there's a definite need for that. When you go out to more of the Western spaces and more of the large corporate users, the call centers, that type of space, I believe that's going to get reimagined to be less dense and smarter. And that may actually cause a net gain of office space as things go forward. And that would be my guess.
Can I dovetail on Charles for a quick second?
I would hope that you would, Gator Man.
Yeah. So I think, the hoteling term, I think, is something that we're going to start to really see going forward. The accounting firms have been doing it for quite some time. And if you look at the accounting firms, they were chumming. They were so profitable during COVID, right? Because they had been doing it prior to that. So looking at one of the big tech companies.
They saved on parking times 12, right? 150 spaces times 12 months times,
wow,
300 people.
If anyone who thinks the office market's going away clearly does not really know what's going on in the market. There are over 1 million square feet of active tenants right now in this market that are negotiating now, signing leases now, or building out space now. How about when all that space is built out and ready? That's the second phase of all the new to market tenants, right? It's been the Richie Rich, right? The Ken Griffins and the Orlando Bravos of the world. But now it's the $200,000 to $800,000 a year worker who is getting ready to come down, get their kids in school before August. There's over 1 million square feet of deals happening right now in the Brickell downtown market. And they're filling it with not only locals, but people coming down. Yes, Jimmy.
That's incredible boost to our overall economic activity as well. Okay. And it's also impacting the residential housing market close in. I was definitely impacted by that as well when I was looking for my new place to live. Ken, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, look, I think Brickell is a world on itself. With that said, I handle the leasing and management of a 2-building complex right by Miami International Airport, famously known as Airport Executive Towers. We've recently repositioned the buildings. When we took it on last year, we went from 51.8%. We're now beyond 75, and I'm going to breach 82% with the various deals that I'm working on right now. Most of the users that are coming in.
Time for a new loan, Ken.
Yeah, exactly. We will talk about it. And I'm raising the rents as well. But most of the users that are coming in are in that 1,500 to 3,000 square foot. I think the biggest deal we cut in the last year was about 3,500 square feet. We still have some large blocks of 5,000 and 6,000 foot spaces that we're still having, we're still sort of pushing the boulder on. But I think that outside of, Brian's, beautiful glade in the sunlight, some of the laws of physics related to office is the cost of construction on the interior renovation. And a lot of the entrepreneurial users that come across the transom, they don't know what their business model is going to look like in 18 months, much less 36 months. So if it costs me now $25 a foot to put in carpet or LVP flooring and redo ceilings and put in LED lighting and move a wall here or there, where it used to be $12, the tug of war going on between landlord and tenant related to term is really something that hasn't really been determined yet. We're having a harder time making any deals pencil out that require significant improvements. Now, I know in downtown Miami, I'm going to posit that, Brian's developer landlords are deep-pocketed and the tenants are deep-pocketed, and they're willing to give the length of term necessary in order to make those deals pencil out and make sense. But, the average cost of improvements for just shell commercial Class A office is really close to $80 a foot, anywhere you slice it. And just replacing flooring and paint is every bit of close to $10 a foot. So it's harder for those, tertiary Class B, B- assets throughout the market or A- assets to maintain and continue to push their rent and still provide the kind of improvements that the tenants in this market are used to.
Jim, can I make a comment? I know you probably have to go to commercial in a second, but I do want to touch on what Ken's saying. I think there's sort of this interesting thing that's happening in the market right now where Miami, it's not just Brickell. It's really Wynwood and the Beach and Aventura and Bay Harbor and Coconut Grove, the whole damn thing. Okay?
It's neighborhoods. People want to be in neighborhoods.
Right. And then you look at like West Palm, where they're signing leases in the new building, that related building, at $110 to $120 a foot. Okay.
No.
Yes. And they've already signed 2 of them. Okay.
Okay.
So,
stop right there because I want to talk about that. Let them anticipate it because I really do need to go to break because we're really unbalanced because you guys really talk a lot and are great.
yeah.
Another break. Come on.
Mendoza.
I want to hear
Time.
what he has to say.
Go there on the downstroke because we have so much good stuff to talk about. I want to remind everybody we're South Florida's longest running business talk show. And I want to thank Warren Henry, who's been our sponsor since 2013. When you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why you have to check out Warren Henry, Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, and Jaguar up at 151st and Biscayne in Gainesville. They sell these tremendous Audi cars. I love the sports car. That's the one I want to get. And then they also sell everything down in the Keys. That's where I can go get my Jeep that I'm going to get so that I can come visit Charles in the Keys. What do they all have in common? Well, they're all great cars, and they come with the Warren Henry Advantage. The Warren Henry Advantage is this long list of great things that they provide you as services all the way down at the bottom. But one of the most important is that they'll give you 72 hours to make sure you like your car. If you don't, they'll exchange it for you. Guess what? No one exchanges. They love their car. Join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian, and lots of my friends. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry.
This is Becca Carlson from Carlson Integrated. You know, a lot of our clients find that they can do anything, but not really everything. We are always excited to jump in and help. So whether you need another set of hands for a project or even comprehensive marketing management, our team of marketing mavens would love to have a conversation with you to see if we are the right fit. We do everything from logo and design work to email outreach and social media to writing and thought leadership. And here's a fun one. We are now offering our fabulous ebook of top 10 marketing tips on our website for free. So head over to carlsonintegrated.com and grab a copy today. And please always let us know how we can help. My email is Becca, that's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com. That's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com.
Well, you guys saw me take a call. The call was from the people that are sending me actually, they're coming to pick up the office furniture that they delivered because it was supposed to match, but it didn't. Didn't work at all. That's right. I'm subjected to the supply chain just like everybody else. So while we're hearing about all the great office space that's going to be occupied, boy, high five to anybody who can get it furnished in time. Anyway, I just had to say, man, I had to say, the logistics people are the most important people in business right now. We'll be talking logistics with Casey Conway in a couple of weeks, by the way. Call me if you need logistics to get your capital. If it's really creative, I've got the line. I put my friends together with each other. Sometimes I introduce them in different new ways that they never thought of, but they always get along. That's the main thing. I try to keep it really nice inside the house and keep everybody moving forward. All kinds of crazy capital is looking for all kinds of crazy things, but what they really want is a good sponsor. I know, and I know the good capital guys. So call me if I can help. Remember, when you call me...
It's not about me. It's about you.
Correct.
How about you said? Okay.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
I just love these guys. They're so smart. They really talk well together, and they make me look good just by knowing them. We're talking about the
While we were on break, I checked my emails and I got
what'd you close?
That's not relevant to the conversation. What's relevant to the conversation is I just got a report that said, according to one of the other major real estate firms, that there's been 2 million square feet of positive office leasing in Miami-Dade County in the last quarter.
Where's Bob Orban now? Huh? Where's Bob Orban when we had that call?
Hey, I'll put you on with Bob in 3 weeks, okay?
Put me back on with Bob, okay?
I think it's going to be tremendous. We're going to do that again, okay? You can even call him.
Bring some boxing gloves and I'll referee.
Oh, it's going to be great. Well, maybe I'll just put it in the ring and we do it for like the NAOP fundraising thing or something.
Bob's like 6'6". I don't think I want to go boxing him, but he clearly was incorrect about what was going on in the market, and we can definitely have another show about that.
All right, but I want to talk about what I see from my window every week. Okay, I moved to Coconut Grove. I'm surrounded by office buildings, which is good for the value of where I live. And I see two different types of people. Well, actually a bunch, but I see one guy who comes in once a week. He's the number 2 guy because he's the second office in from the corner. He's there at 6. He's gone by 10. He's never there. Like only a little while. Then I've got the guy who's got all the meeting space. He holds like training. You can see it because of the setup. Place is empty. Then he's there at 7:00, once a month, and they train everybody, and then they're gone. But I really don't see anybody that fully occupies full time. Is anybody really running full bore yet? And I'm going to ask. No. Okay, no. Just ask.
Yeah, I'll jump on it. No, they're not running full time. I mean, I think in our portfolio we have about 8 million square feet of buildings we represent in the market. I think we're about 65 to 70% back to the office. But there is hoteling. And as I was saying before, there's a tech company moving in our building. I saw their plan, and their plan is specifically to hotel. I mean, and take a lot of space. So people come in, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Other people come in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And never will they have every single person there at one time, maybe once a month, but they're all coming in and out. They are collaborating. I think that's important to mention. Another thing I really want to mention, which is really an unbelievable phenomenon going on in our market right now, try and go find co-working space. I dare you. Go to Miami, find co-working space. Find one open office, one vacant office in downtown or Brickell. Believe me, we've been calling for these new to market guys that said, I can't wait until November of 2022 to get into your building. I need to get temporary space. Doesn't exist. Sandeep, who's the CEO of WeWork, this morning I saw an article said, boy, there's a ton of space out in the market, but Miami is super, super tight. I may have misquoted him a little bit, but essentially that's what he said. You can't find space in co-working in Miami.
Yeah, Casey Conway said it. He said everybody's sucking wind on sublease space. Even Miami has a lot, but Miami has the least amount. Ken, what are you seeing on co-working and subleases up in Broward?
Yeah, Brian's right. The co-working market is pretty book solid, and they're raising their rates, tremendously. So you get 2 or 3 rooms in a Regis, you're looking at $5,000 a month, and that is the new normal.
That's amazing. And I'm afraid to go in the elevator in the office building still. So let me ask you another question. Is there a demographic profile that does and doesn't go to the office?
Well,
everybody just rolls?
No, I think that there's, some of it is related to where you, how much of a grinder you are when you started your career. A lot of the bosses and the C-suite people that I know are incredibly ticked off that their people are not at their desks and feel like they're losing traction. I do think that moving forward, that the hybrid work environment and hoteling is here to stay. And I think that business culture is going to have to adapt to it. But again, like Chuck and Brian said, the pendulum continues to swing. I do not think that we really know, where it's going to land or where it's going to stop at this stage. I think we're still too early in the game. But I read an interesting article about Herman Miller, their chief design, and they're designing it from the standpoint of they think that in order to have people come to the office, it has to be kind of like a living room or a hotel lobby.
Right.
And it's got to have all of those kind of amenities. I mean, when I think about it, it drives me a little crazy because I'm like, you friggin' snowflakes. You go to the office and you work. What do you need to be like you're in a living room? Do your job, do what needs to be done, and then go home. But
Ken, you're exactly right. That's what we're seeing too.
That's not the work culture that is coming down the pikes with the millennials and then the generation that's following them. So I think one thing that I would say that we're in this period of great societal and economic change. And for the rest of my career and natural life, hopefully it'll be long, change is, rapid change. And the other thing we didn't really talk about as far as utilization of office space, but is really going to be on everybody's radar is spatial computing and digitization of space and being in 3D workspaces and 3D meeting rooms. And all of that is happening right now. And I'm not saying it's going to supplant the use of office space, but it will act as another avenue for work teams to collaborate. And instead of being on a 2-dimensional screen, they'll put their glasses in and then they'll be in a virtual space. I know this is happening because my wife is a researcher on that on the healthcare side, and I've actually gone into those virtual spaces, and you will see, like, Brian, your buildings ultimately will be built out in the metaverse. So I'll be able to lease a space in that building, even though it's not in the real world. I'll be leasing a space in that building and getting the same benefits that existing tenants in the real world. And I read another interesting article about a REIT being formed for metaverse properties.
Ken,
I mean, it's crazy.
Ken, we talked about it on my show about a month ago with Olivia Ramos from Deep Blocks. Everybody will wear a half suit and the glasses, and they'll never leave their house, and they won't even know the difference. I want to wrap up now. You're right on, Ken. You're absolutely right on, but I'm up against the end of the show, so I had to ask you to slow down a little bit. I really apologize. I love you so much. It made me feel like crap. We're going to wrap up now. I'm sorry. I'm truthful. That's what makes me me. I love you so much, Ken. You're such a beautiful, beautiful person. No, I wanted you to talk about the Herman Miller thing. That's why I did it on the stream today. We're going to wrap up now. Everybody give me your final thoughts on the future. You know, Charles from the capital side, Brian from the tenant side, Ken from the landlord side. Let's roll. Capital markets, Charles.
Office continues to be very viable. Florida and the Southeast, a big winner. South Florida, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, east of 95, huge winners.
But man, that's the whole thing. Brian.
New to market tenants will pay whatever you tell them if it's the right space with the right view, possibly a balcony. If they get what they want, they'll pay you whatever it is. The challenge in the market is existing tenants who are coming out of rents at $48, $50 a foot. You hit them with a renewal at $75 a foot. They're like, Brian, you're crazy. I can't afford it. I know the new to market guys are doing it, but I can't afford it. So they either have to pay the freight or they have to go into a different submarket.
Wow. Ken, that means they may be visiting you. Are you seeing that?
Slowly. I think there's still going to be some sleepless nights for some of the suburban landlords that are facing a fair amount of sublet, product in their buildings and a very slow absorption. Negative absorption has really been the name of the game over the last 18 months. I think that ultimately will turn around. But more sleepless nights for those, A minus, B minus landlords in the suburbs for some
that
time.
Are not close to transportation, right, Ken? If you're close to transportation in the suburb, you have a leg up. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, that's why I like where I live. I went to my place because it's right at the edge of the submarket, so I get the submarket, but not the traffic. Sounds like where you bought in the Keys, Charles.
That's why I referenced east to 95. The connectivity in those submarkets, the live, work, play, mass transit is key.
You guys are massively tremendous. Thank you for
about air taxis. Air taxis. We're all
next time, boy chick.
Next show.
That'll take us
next time. That's for the guy that's going to pay the $200 rent.
It's coming.
All right. I do love it. I remember when I got people to believe that you could get $1 for the apartment rents. They didn't believe me, and now they do. Everybody, thank you so much. This was a tremendous show. We're going to put it up on the internet as soon as Mr. Mendoza finishes his full production. I'll flip it at both of you guys. I know you'll send it to everybody. This is Jim Fried. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Usually I read a really long thing. I'm going to talk from the heart. These are really my friends. I surround myself with wonderful people like this, and then I listen to their advice. You should too. Join me next week. We're going to talk about gift giving. I forgot about that. It's a holiday season. Remember, the person that wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. Now go out there and make it happen. God bless you. God bless you, my friends. And God bless the United States of America. I'm out of here. I love you, Brian. Mr. Mendoza, it is yours. I love you too, Ken. Foschini, you already know how I feel about you. I actually said your name right.